Hey guys, I kept delaying making this build guide video and I kept thinking how to do it. Do I even want to do this build guide video? So I thought maybe I'm gonna do some kind of meme video, but once I started doing it, I realized it's very cringy. And the reason why I didn't really want to do a build guide video is that this is not really a build that I would recommend, but at the same time, it is still kind of fun to play it, or at least it may be interesting to see what this build can do. But then again, I did not really fully min-max it, so it's not gonna be a good representation of what it could be. I did reach level 90, I defeated Shaper Deathless, and I can almost one-shot some red tier map bosses. And I am using Abyssus helmet because it is a noob trap, so obviously I have to use it. But you know what, it did not really feel that scary to play with it, and I'm actually kind of surprised. All I did was, while playing with Abyssus, was not getting hit, and it worked perfectly every single time I did not get hit. And it isn't that difficult to not get hit. All you have to do is have very good skills, or if you're like me and you don't really have good skills, well, the build also has some dodge and slight bit of block, and the melee skill that I chose to use is kind of almost ranged. So you are basically one-shotting all the enemies. You are standing away from them, so you're not putting yourself in too much risk. But if someone still manages to attack you, you still have some chance to dodge it, or just simply sidestep the projectile or attack. And against multiple hits, you still have endurance charges which extend duration of Immortal Coil, which makes you immune to physical damage. By the way, I didn't mention this is Scion, Juggernaut, Pathfinder. So once I take some damage, I start generating endurance charges every second, which helps mitigate the drawback of the Abyssus helmet. And since the build can one-shot most of the normal enemies, well, normal, I mean non-syndicate enemies, I guess. Actually, even some syndicate encounters can be dealt pretty easily, but in tier 16 it's definitely an issue. So overall, I think the build sounds cool, but you also feel skeptical and questionable if this is actually a viable build. Just like with One Punch Man Season 2 trailer. You can't help but think if it's going to actually be any good. I mean, it's One Punch Man, it has to be good. But then again, everything is different. Anyway, like I said, I would probably not recommend this build unless you're not taking it too seriously and probably not trying to push for Shaper. Or maybe you have a lot of currency and can't afford to min-max this. So I'm not gonna do detailed items, skills and passive review. You can find links in the description with the Path of Building import code, where you can see all of my items, skills, links and all the other stuff. Instead, I'll just mention the key items used in this build. Obviously, Facebreaker with as close as possible to 800% more physical damage while unarmed. And then you try to get as much flat physical damage anywhere you can. And of course, obviously, since it is crit Facebreakers, you kind of have to use Rigwald's Curse Amulet, which makes claw attack speed, claw damage and claw critical strike chance apply to unarmed attacks, but not critical strike multiplier. And then the biggest flat physical damage on the helmet comes from Abyssus helmet, of course. 40 to 60 flat physical damage and a bunch of critical strike multiplier. Like I said, this is a noob trap, I guess. Or is it? Yeah, it is. But it still gives the most damage. Abyssus makes you take from 40 to 50 increased physical damage, but if you never get hit by physical damage, then obviously there are no drawbacks. So just don't get hit, and if you get hit, just don't get hit even more, and then you'll be fine. Next, the build has quite a lot of options actually. You can use Tusaka Darkness and Throne and have 2 Abyssal Jewels, but for that you definitely need very expensive and very good jewels. You can use Meganor's Girdle, or whatever it's pronounced, or you can use well, this belt. This belt is pretty cheap, gives quite decent amount of flat physical damage, and also it secretly gives up to 10% more physical attack damage, if you can get a perfect roll obviously. And perfect roll would be 40% more maximum and 30% less minimum, because if you get the average 35%, then you would not be gaining any more DPS. You would only make your minimum average hit be lower and maximum average hit be higher, but not really gaining any more DPS. But like I said, if you get 40% more maximum and 30% less minimum, then overall it would still give you 10% more DPS. Are you confused already? Good, let's continue. Next massive source of damage is the Circle of Guilt unique ring. Gives flat physical damage and improves Herald of Purity buff effect, or just gives increased damage while affected by Herald of Purity. Or if you're lucky and or rich, you can get both of these mods. And yes, buff effect would give you a bit more damage, but it is also a bit more expensive. And the damage difference between these two mods is really not that different. For shield there are also a couple options, but I just went with the great old ones ward, flat feast damage, attack speed, some life. Since I don't really have any frenzy charges, you could actually get a rare shield and get minimum frenzy charges, which would work pretty well against single target. Besides, you don't really want to use Blood Rage because Blood Rage degen is increased by the Abyssus helmet. And for the body armor, you definitely want Elder's body armor with attack have increased critical strike chance. And if you are rich, also with the level 1 maim, or obviously lore weave, but you would definitely have less life. Now for flasks, obviously diamond flask, maybe sulphur flask because new consecrated ground well basically gives you 100% increased global critical strike chance if enemies are standing on the consecrated ground, but for some reason Pathfinder building does not properly calculate that. And then you can add Lion's Roar if you want more damage. I did not use it because well I wanted to use 2 life flasks. And then for skills I'm using Tectonic Slam because it's kind of ranged, linked with melee, physical damage, elemental damage with attacks, added fire damage, combustion and rootless. Also using Val Ancestral Warchief linked with multiple totems, maim and added fire damage. It's mostly utility thing, but it also does some damage. Wave of Conviction linked with Curse on Hit, Assassin's Mark, and also have Ice Golem for more crit. Wave of Conviction also lowers enemy fire resistance, so that's damage. Herald of Ash, Herald of Purity, War Banner. War Banner is also accuracy buff. And then cast when damage taken linked with Immortal Call, increased duration, and also Flame Dash. Just level your Flame Dash or else you will be Flame Dashing every time you take damage. Then the passive skill tree, first I got Juggernaut for accuracy and endurance charge generation. And then went for the Pathfinder, linked the Path of the Ranger. Had to do a lot of refunding after I connected to the Ranger starting area, and well, I took all the notes that I took. Yeah, that explains everything. And well, if you want to criticize, feel free to do so, but I'm not coming back to this build. And before you criticize, at least check Pathfinder building if what you are suggesting is any better. I will include Pathfinder building import code with fully buffed, so I could just show bigger numbers. Even if it's not really realistically to expect to have all those buffs all the time. But hey, I got many numbers in my numbers, like at least 7 numbers for like 2 seconds. So that's gonna be it. I already started my next build and it's already close to level 90. Multiple unleash fireballs with the flame surge as well. It's probably gonna be my most fun build this league yet. And I'm gonna have a full build guide video for that build in a couple days. So for now, thank you for watching and I'll see you soon.